we spent a lot of time talking with Albertans. So we set up an online forum in which we engaged in dialogue with hundreds of Albertans. We created a survey, and then we also went out and interviewed different experts from across the country and looked at best practices in terms of neighborhood planning. So what we found in that research was actually, it was actually very encouraging. And this is a thought leaders piece, so it's not a statistically valid. We didn't ask every single Albertan what they thought, but we did get a really strong consensus about the key characteristics of sustainable neighborhoods. And one of the things that came out loud and strong was walkability, which is something that exists in many older neighborhoods, European neighborhoods, and a lot of the new ones that are being created. People want to be able to walk to the store. They want to be able to walk to their dentist. They want to be able to walk to the park. Density is another one. Density is a dirty word in many municipalities where people have a feeling that density means high rises, large buildings, small apartments. But there's different types of density that will really help us decrease the amount of environmental pollution, decrease the amount of resources that we're using, and create communities that are walkable. So that density is a significant issue that some communities are beginning to do a really good job at addressing, but you always, politically in particular, you always come up against challenges around that because it's seen as you know, going from a small family lot to living in an apartment building, which isn't the case. It doesn't have to be the case. Energy is another one. So the type of energy that sustainable neighborhoods use. There was a bit of difference in Albertans really wanted to see a lot cleaner energy, more renewable energy, and the experts who've been working on neighborhoods are saying we need to actually go to 100% renewable energy if we're going to create sustainable neighborhoods. And that includes things like the types of energy that we use to heat our houses, how we move around, so how we're getting around, the types of energy we're using to put in our cars to move us around. And then there are several other sort of characteristics that came out of the research too. One of them related to creating neighborhoods that are quite robust. So not just having a neighborhood that's walkable, but you actually need places to walk to, as I had alluded to earlier. Local shops, stores, restaurants, things like that, parks, as I had mentioned. Another key characteristics was local governance, and by that I mean not just your municipal council, but communities that are moving towards being sustainable have established different community associations who are helping members of their neighborhoods, of their communities, look at those challenges and come up with a better description of success for their neighborhoods, if you will. So there are a number of different programs and tools and resources out there to support neighborhoods, but I'm going to switch now and sort of get into some of the survey results. So one of the things that came out of this was a clear sort of definition of what a neighborhood, sustainable neighborhood is. That's a vibrant, sustainable neighborhood is one that meets the needs of residents while protecting the environment and leaving an affordable legacy. This type of neighborhood engages citizens in decision-making, creates a feeling of belonging. People want to stay here. It offers a variety of housing options that are located near shops, schools, recreation, work, and other amenities, kind of like a village in many ways. These are places that are pleasant, convenient, pedestrian-friendly, and their design makes it easy to walk or cycle. Land is used efficiently and services meet the needs of residents, old or new. They also feature a choice of different homes for people to live in. So social well-being was one of the first themes that came out of the interviews and survey questions. So what this means is that, again, like with Mr. Rogers, it's creating a feeling of well-being, creating a sense of belonging, if you will. There were a lot of responses that people said, people don't know their neighbors that well, especially in places where they don't walk, where you have to get in your car to drive and do everything. Governance was another key theme that came out of the discussion. So people, not only did they talk about getting to know their neighbors more, but actually being involved in participating in decision making. So this is beyond sort of electing your local official. This really means volunteering, being involved in your community association, being involved in your different neighborhood organizations, and having a say in how your organization is shaped. A third key theme that came out of this was active, convenient, and green transportation. And as it implies, what we mean by this, and this is one of the, if you go back to the slide, or the main sort of cloud diagram, walkability was sort of the biggest thing that came out of the survey results, where people wanted to be able to walk around. So it's represented here again. Public transportation that is linking people between different neighborhoods so that they can access services easily without having to get in the car. Transportation system powered by 100% renewable energy. And I know Calgary is well on the way would ride the wind and some of their other initiatives here. The fourth sort of theme that came out of this looked at nature and thriving ecosystems, which includes parks and green spaces. So we've kind of put them together. What some of the experts said here, which was quite interesting, and it did vary, is that if we're building new stuff, it shouldn't be built on sensitive natural ecosystems. And there are some regulations that do protect different natural ecosystems. Some of the experts said we should go a step further, where we actually have an exchange, right? A habitat exchange. So that means for every square foot of land that you put a human settlement on, you also have to create an exchange. You also have to create and set in reserve for perpetuity another piece of nature, if you will. In particular, I think what Albertans were looking for in the survey is they were looking for places with parks and ample green space, places to play, to exercise, and to connect with nature. And these things included things like green gardens, different community gardens, if you will, but also natural ecosystems you can work going for a walk in. There was one article I read from, this is definitely not in Alberta, but from Japan, and it's applicable here. It's called forest bathing. So it was a study that looked at the health of people over a 20-year period who exercised the same, ate the same, similar types of jobs, but where the exercise was different. And one group did more of their recreation in gyms and in the city center, and the other would go out and walk or run or jog or hike or whatever in nature. And those that went out into nature had a higher quality of health. They had less asthma, they had less rates of heart problems. And there's no conclusive evidence from this other than to say that there's a better quality of health for people who are spending time in those natural environments. Not to say that your local fitness club isn't a good place to go, but it's just an interesting difference. Again, what the experts said here is that there's no relative impact on natural systems. And I think, especially in our cities, in our larger communities, there's opportunity to use existing brownfields, gray fields for development. Of course, they need, most of them need some type of remediation, but that allows for creating more sort of compact, walkable communities within the city center. The economy itself, this one here was interesting because they looked at both the local economy and also the economy in general. So people wanted to have good employment. They wanted to, a lot of people wanted to be able to work within their neighborhoods, but they also wanted to have access to work. So if it wasn't directly in their neighborhood, it would be easily accessible. There was also a general agreement that it would be great if everyone had access to employment as well, including youth, elders, and in particular have meaningful work within their neighborhoods and communities. The economic system also looked at a lot of local products. So looking at, as you can see from some of the pictures, looking at your local food baskets and being able to buy produce that was grown within the community or within a certain radius from the community. This is the interesting one, and I was actually a little surprised to see that there was quite a bit of support for density in the survey responses. Not everyone, I wouldn't say there was 100% unanimity here, and I think there's still confusion about what a nice sort of high, medium, dense neighborhood can look like. Compact, beautiful spaces that allow for that social interaction and also allow for privacy are something that people are looking for. Design around people, not cars, and balance with appropriate green spaces, also balance with the appropriate transportation linkages too. So there are some examples, and this is one of our colleagues over in the city of Vancouver, Brent Todderin and Mark Holland, who used to work there and does a lot of urban planning, has done a lot of talking around density as well. And this is a quote that he had put up on an article. Essentially, what they're saying is that we need to be able to explore this more. We need to have more conversations in our neighborhoods around what density actually means, and we need to be able to show people the benefits that neighborhoods that have higher densities. We need to show them what they can look like, what they feel like. And there are some examples. There are more and more examples that are popping up in the province here. The one, the bottom right, and I wouldn't say it's a highly dense neighborhood, but it's one example is down in Okotoks with Drake's Landing, and the other one you see on the on your right hand side, sorry, is at the bottom right, is up at Strathcona County in Emerald Hills, which is a newer development that is being created there. And again, I know there are a number that exist within Calgary as well. The seventh one was related to services themselves. So people really, and again, this goes back to walkability. They wanted to be able to have the services within an appropriate distance from public transportation, from a walkability perspective. So these included a wide variety of things: shopping, recreation, healthcare, work, etc. One of the last ones relates to diversity. So here, diversity both in terms of the people, in terms of range of incomes, the number of communities that have very type of gated communities, if you will, where it's a certain income level that you need to get in, essentially. And what that does is it creates a sort of imbalance between us and them, and us and them culture. So experts here had in particular said we need to make sure that we are creating communities that have opportunity for people with mixed incomes and with different backgrounds throughout the social strata to live together. One example that I recall from Vancouver was a housing co-op that was created there, in which it was an elderly woman who would have otherwise been in a nursing home, and I think she was also in her 90s. She basically didn't have any other family left. She was the last kind of survivor in her family, and she said in this video that she wouldn't be around if it wasn't for this new co-op that she was living in, because she had this sort of instant family with people who were able to, kids were able to come over and spend time with her or talk with her, and she was quite mobile, so she was off out and about helping people do things within that neighborhood, and provided that kind of voluntary support, whether it was babysitting or other things. Part of the challenge for Alberta and for every other province in this country is to really take a hard look at the direction that we're heading with our industries, with the services that we're offering, and ask ourselves how we can offer these in a way that will move us in a sustainable direction. And what I mean by that is that it will prevent more problems from coming back to bite us, if you will. We have a huge opportunity here in Alberta in particular to invest in a sustainable future, and we've seen glimpses of that in a number of communities and municipal projects.